Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show, coming from right here on our YouTube channel. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea, and this is the show where we talk about the things we love, those things that give us joy, movies and movie news, TV and streaming, and all sorts of good stuff. I'm joined in studio today, of course, by our technical producer, Jonathan Voico.
Hello, everybody.
Writer, director, producer, Robert Meyer Burnett is here.
Go see Dust Bunny in theaters next week. Don't miss it.
And of course, most importantly, you guys are here. Thanks for being here. Here's how our show's going to go. We're going to talk about a bunch of topics. Second part of the show, well, that's normally when we take your live comments and questions. However, today we got to keep the show a little bit short. There are some things going on, so good things, but things going on nonetheless. So we got to keep the show a little bit shorter. So we're just going to talk about a bunch of stuff here today. But listen, before we get into our topics, little bit of housekeeping to take care of. The next movie meetup is now scheduled and on the books, and it is going to be in our backyard. Everyone's asking me, John, you've done 17 cities across the country and you haven't done LA yet. So on Tuesday, yes, less than 1 week from today, on Tuesday, I believe that's December 9th, we are going to be doing the 7:10 screening of Five Nights at Freddy's 2 at our old offices, the AMC Burbank 16. So if you guys live in or around the LA area and you'd like to come out, the way movie meetups work is really simple. You just go to the website of the movie theater, buy tickets to that show, and then we'll be in the theater too watching it. And then afterwards, I'll hang out in front of the theater for like an hour or so and meet people and take pictures or whatever. So if you want to come on down, once again, that's at the AMC Burbank 16 on Tuesday, December 9th at the 7:10 p.m. screening of Five Nights at Freddy's. I hope you guys, if you're in the area, will come on down and join us for that.
I will.
All right, Rob. Yeah, Rob will be. Jonathan can be there too.
Yeah, for sure.
You'll actually get a chance to meet the whole crew.
Yeah.
And by the way, one more thing I want to cover here today. It is Christmas. And you know, I had something happen to me while we were on our movie meetups. We were in Austin, and Ann and I were stopped at a gas station. I was going into a store, and I was going up to open the door, and I noticed there was this lady coming up behind me. So I did what everybody does. You hold the door open for the lady going in, right?
Oh, that's what you do?
60.
Did she say screw the patriarchy and make you close the door?
60 something, whatever. And she was going, as she walked in, she stopped and looked at me, and she said the weirdest thing. She looked at me and she said,
"Don't hold that damn door for me."
She said, "Thank you for thinking I'm worth holding the door for."
Oh, that kind of makes you well up.
Wow.
And I told Ann about it, right? And it made me realize one of the things I love most about movies is movies remind us that all of us have the ability, all of us have the power. Every single one of us has the power to make somebody else feel valuable, to make somebody else feel like they have worth. That's why one of my favorite scenes in all movies is the ending of My Best Friend's Wedding, when Julia Roberts is at the wedding of the person she wanted to marry and she didn't. She's sad and she's on the phone with Rupert. What's the actor's name again? I keep forgetting his name.
Rupert Everett?
Yeah, I think that's it. And, you know, on the phone with her best friends, you know, because she's down. And then she looks up and she realizes he flew across the country to be there for her. He made her feel like she has worth. And I realized that I love that about movies that remind us that we all have that power to make somebody else feel worthy. And every Christmas, we try to do something around here all together, you guys and us. And we call it, well, we don't call it. It is called the Adopt a Family Program. You know, Ann and I have been doing it for about a dozen years. And we invited you guys a couple of years ago to start doing it with us. And it's been amazing. The way it works is this. We go to the municipal agency. They match us with a family. We've got an incredible family that we've been matched with this year. It's a single mom who has a disability of 4 kids, ages 9 to 15. And for many different reasons, having a really tough go of it. And we together have the ability and have the opportunity to make them feel valued, to make them feel worth, and to give them maybe the best day of their year and to really give them a great Christmas. Now, part of that is Ann and I put together an Amazon wish list on Amazon. And then what we do every year is we ask you guys to go to that list and whatever you can, buy 1 or 2 or 3 things that are on that list. And when you do, Amazon sends it directly to us. We wrap it up and then we deliver it. Now, I want to show you a couple things on here because this year, listen, a lot of regular things like $10 AMC gift cards. Buy a couple. Go buy a couple of Amazon gift cards, for anything else that the family needs. Things like paper and notebooks, some stuff for mom, towels, dishes, pots and pans. Now, listen, I've been told before, I've been chastised by our audience before for only putting inexpensive stuff on here. And they've said, put on some bigger things. So, okay, I'm going to ask for some of you guys to come through for us on this. So, for example, I put Samsung tablets on here. They're not as expensive as iPads, but they're $150. That's a bigger ticket item. But if some of you guys can come through and help us pick up a couple of these tabs, because these kids should have some, like that's way cheaper than a computer. So that would be good. Also, a couple of kids are like 13 and 15. We put some scooters on there. Some electric scooters, cheaper ones, $159. If some of you can come through on that level, great. We even decided to put in a really big ticket item on here, like a Meta Quest. Put that on there. Hey, it's a big ticket item, but if you can do it, by all means, please do it. Or if not, a $10 gift card, maybe one of these sets of towels, maybe a skateboard, maybe, crayons or whatever, a lot of these different things. Then what's going to happen is after everything gets delivered in, we wrap it and we deliver it. And then we cut a check as well on top of everything that you guys send to help the family with other stuff. You guys have seen the videos. You guys have seen the impact that you make on these families every year. And you know how big of a deal it is. So we're doing it again this year. We put the link in the description of the video right at the top for the Amazon wish list. Whatever you guys can do to help would be awesome. So thank you guys so much for that.
John, it was really, I was able to go with you one year when you delivered the
That was
gifts.
a great year.
It was one of the most moving things I've ever been a part of. And it was talk about changing your perspective. I mean, it was amazing to meet that family. And the father was just coming home from work, and
working like a 16-hour shift, trying to provide for his family. And
and it was amazingly an amazingly moving experience.
So, there you go, guys. Once again, link is down in the description, and we hope you guys can help out in whatever way that you can. We'll remind you guys of this every day up until now when we deliver everything. All right, guys. With all that down, with goodness and kindness, let's talk about nasty. We got a new show coming out.
How come you didn't say filthy?
I was going to get to that.
Oh.
I was going to get to that, and you stole my thunder.
I harshed your mellow. I'm sorry.
But we got a show coming out called Spartacus, the House of Ashur. And now, you guys may not know, but the original Spartacus series is in my top 5 all-time favorite series. I love that. And by the way, our own Erin Cummings was one of the stars. She was Spartacus's wife in that show. Well, now they're revisiting it and coming back, and they're doing House of Ashur. Now, for those of you who watched the original Spartacus show, they brought the filthy, all right? They didn't hold back on the violence and the sex and the gore and the nudity. Spartacus was not only a great show, it was visceral. It meant to give us that visceral sense and that visceral feeling. So is House of Ashur going to follow up with that? Well, apparently Spartacus wasn't nothing compared to what they're doing. And they're saying he's really pushing. Now, this comes to us from Coming Soon. It says Spartacus, the spinoff, is to push the limits of TV sex and violence. And it goes on to write this. DeKnight noted that Stephen S. DeKnight, I'll read it from the other paragraph. At the Hollywood Reporter's inaugural Heat Vision Live event, showrunner Stephen S. DeKnight, who did the original Spartacus and did season 1 of Daredevil on Netflix, by the way. He's great.
And not Travis Knight, Stephen S. DeKnight.
Yeah, Stephen S. DeKnight.
People get them confused so much.
And actor Nick E. Tarabay reflected on the creative risks behind Spartacus House of Ashur. DeKnight noted that he has yet to encounter a creative boundary involving sex or violence that he is unwilling to test. He credited both Starz and Lionsgate Television for supporting the show's more extreme moments. The showrunner cited one especially graphic sequence in the second episode, admitting he expected some network pushback. He said, "I was sure we were going to get a note about that." However, DeKnight clarified, they received none. Nothing. For DeKnight, The harshness and hypersexuality depicted in the show reflect the historical setting of Rome. This time in ancient Rome was a brutal time and hypersexual, he said, adding that he is especially proud of the introduction of a female gladiator, expressing his gratitude. He said, I'm very thankful to Lionsgate and Stars that I have not gotten a note that said, whoa, can you pull it back? All right, now look.
But they didn't say pull it out. What?
Wow.
Not going to say what just went through my head. No, sir. So look. I'm on record of saying I don't like gratuitousness in a lot of stuff, but I've always been very clear about what my definition of gratuitous is. Gratuitous is when it's there and it doesn't serve any purpose. Like, oh, let's just show a guy getting his head chopped off. What did that do for the story? What did that do for what you're trying to accomplish? Or did you just put in there because it'll be cool to show somebody get their head cut off? That's gratuitous, right? And to me, that's wasteful. I included that sex, nudity. But I love my filthy and stuff. And one of the great things about Spartacus was Stephen S. Tonight utilized violence and sex and nudity as a part of pushing what the overall tone and feel of the show. The visceralness of those shows, they all contributed to that and pushed what that show was. And on that level, there's a lot of sex in that show, man. And on that level, I thought it really worked and part of what made the show so great. And I love the fact that he recognizes that's one of the things that worked with the original show. And by the way, lest you think, if you haven't seen the original Spartacus, oh, this is just a titty and stabby show. No. It was great characters and great story. It was wonderful with all these other visceral elements as well. So I kind of like hearing that he's still pursuing that he's pushing it even harder. And I love hearing that both Lionsgate and Stars were like, no notes. You go do it. Make your stuff. Now, as somebody who appreciates the filthy, bring on the filthy. It's at least worth bringing up the question, though, Rob. Where should the line be? Because Spartacus did a lot. And where should the line be with, sex and violence when it comes to television? Granted, this isn't going to be on CBS. But, when it comes to that, should there be limits? Should there be, I don't know. What are your thoughts in the comments? What's standing out to you? And where do you think they should draw the line?
Well, for me, it's always been like having directed an HBO Cinemax show that was all about the filthy.
Which was?
Femme Fatale.
That's right.
Which is it should have been called Femmes Fatale, but I can't even get into that. But the thing is, for me, when you're telling a narrative story, when you stop adding to the narrative with a sex scene, I think that's too much. I think a sex scene and the way people are having sex should also add to the overall idea of what's happening. Like in Basic Instinct, there's some great sex scenes.
That's a great example.
But Basic Instinct, there's something else going on. Like, is Catherine Trammell really a murderer? And is she going to stab Michael Douglas? So you're watching this very hot, very choreographed, and Paul Verhoeven used to say that he would choreograph his sex scenes the way he choreographed action sequences. So they mean something. And like you said, the original Spartacus, look, it's titillating. We want it to be titillating, but it's also visceral. And if you're conveying something about the characters, about the way they're having sex, if it's just a rando sex scene and it's kind of normal and whatever, okay. But if there's two characters working out their differences with one another in bed, well, then it can be really interesting and it can be titillating.
Can I give an example from the original Spartacus to your points, just to highlight it? So there's this scene in the original Spartacus series where Spartacus, who's of course a slave gladiator, he's brought in as a stallion to have sex with this high-ranking Roman woman. But it turns out the high-ranking Roman woman he's brought in to breed with happens to be the wife of one of the Roman higher-ups that Spartacus hates. And so when the sex scene is going on, it's like, you know what I liken it unto, Rob? One of my favorite scenes in all movies, the Emperor throne room fight scene between Vader and Luke. And because I always say, as that fight is going on, story is being told.
Yes.
And I know it sounds weird to say, but when he's banging that Roman chick in the original Spartacus, it's that same kind of feeling. Like story is actually unfolding here.
And I think that's the best way to include sex in narrative, because otherwise the narrative stops. And to be honest, then sex scenes become boring, because the way characters are having sex should have a story element to them that makes them more titillating, and it also carries the narrative forward. So you're not just stopping and watching fornication. That's no fun. I mean, it is fun
To a degree, but but for filmmaking and television and stuff like that, it doesn't contribute.
And that's the question. Does this sex scene push the narrative further in some way? And if the answer is yes, then good. Take it and by the way, push it as far as you can. I got in a little trouble because I wanted to push things too far in a show that was about sex. And they're like, you can't do that. And I'm like, well, okay. It was just insinuating something, not showing
Well,
it.
apparently nobody at Lionsgate or Spartacus said that to Stephen S. tonight.
I love it.
So,
Love it.
mean, I'm looking forward to this, but whatever. I'm 12. Okay, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Stephen S. tonight is saying there's no limits he's not willing to test out when it comes to sex and violence. And Lionsgate and Stars were like, yeah, go for it. Should there be a line? Maybe there should, maybe there shouldn't. Where do you draw them? When does something go just from being visceral to just simply gratuitous? I don't know. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? In this newest chapter of the never-ending story of Are We Ever Gonna Get Blade? Well, the answer seems more and more like no, but one of the stars of the movie is still saying that's still the plan. It's told her that the project's off. As far as she knows, they're still going, but she has no idea about what's going on. This comes to us from the folks over at Superhero Hype. Speaking with Josh Horowitz on the Happy, Sad, Confused podcast, Mia Goth was asked about Blade and her perspective on all the delays the project has suffered. She goes, I don't know what's going on with that, she said. I think that they want to make it. And it's such an important film that they're taking their time with it. I really don't have any information. I don't know why it's taken the time that it has, but we'll see. We'll see. So, all right. What I'm taking away from that is that as far as nobody from Marvel, at least, has contacted Mia Goth's people to say, you can free her up. We're not doing the movie anymore, which is something they would do. Because honestly, Rob, I think the longer I think they got to keep paying her something just to remain available. But that's a topic for another discussion that I don't actually know about. So it sounds like they have not pulled the plug on it. And I continue to feel like they are going to pull the plug on it, but they have not yet. But still, it's got to be infuriating. You are publicly announced as a cast member in this movie. We're not even talking about Mahershala Ali. We're talking about Mia Goth. And you know nothing about where they're at. You have no idea if they're on a third draft of a story they finally like. You don't know if they're circling any dates. It sounds like at this point, people like Mahershala Ali, Mia Goth are as much in the dark about this whole Blade project as the rest of us. And it went from being exciting when they announced it to concerning when 2 or 3 years passed to comical once 5 years passed to now just straight up embarrassing. This is just embarrassing. And it's the only thing I think Marvel's ever done where they are just straight up embarrassed. Secret Invasion notwithstanding, but as far as behind the scenes moves, this is the one big black eye and one massive embarrassment. And the longer this goes on, because Rob, at that event at Comic-Con, when they brought out Mahershala Ali and said, we're making Blade, they announced about 7 or 8 other movies. All of those 7 or 8 other movies have been made, been in theaters, and have long been on Disney Plus ever since. Meanwhile, we're sitting here with Blade, with a continuing to age Mahershala Ali. You got a 2-time Academy Award winner lined up to do this thing. And Rob, there's an old saying that our parents' generation used to say, and it goes, shit or get off the pot. And that's kind of what I feel like we as fans need to just say to Kevin Feige, who, by the way, I think is doing a really good job of slowly turning Marvel back around in the right direction ever since Bob Chapek left. And I'm very excited for what's coming up with Spider-Man, Brand New Day, with Doomsday, with Secret Wars, all the other stuff they got coming. I think they're heading everything in the right direction. But I think we're at the point here, and maybe we've long passed the point, that it's time to just say, hey guys, we weren't able to crack the code on Blade right now. So we're putting it on the shelf. We'll come back and revisit it in a couple of years when we just say that, or say we're committed to having this thing come out in 2027. Like it's just, we've been strung along too long. And remember, they got nobody to blame but themselves. They chose to be at Comic-Con, and they chose to bring Mahershala Ali out on stage, and they chose to announce to the world, we're making Blade. They did that. So I think we're at the point here, they just got to say, you know what, guys, best of intentions, but we haven't been able to crack the code to our satisfaction. We're going to put it on the shelf for now. I don't know. Rob, you heard the comments from Mia Goth. What is standing out to you? Where's your hope level like at right now that we're ever actually going to get this thing? What do you think?
Well, first of all, I thought it was odd. I loved it, but I thought it was odd that they brought Wesley Snipes back in Deadpool versus Wolverine, or Deadpool and Wolverine. Here they talked about Blade. They've been trying to make this Blade movie. We know.
Well, they also brought Toad back, but that didn't mean anything.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that they had announced, because they had already announced a new Blade movie.
Yeah.
You know, they're bringing him back, and we know, because I've had her on this show, the costume designer of Blade, you know, who went on to do Sinners, you know, Ruth Carter, who's amazing, told me that Marvel allowed her to repurpose a lot of her 1920s costumes that she'd made for Blade
into
to
Sinners.
use them into Sinners.
Yeah.
And so they were moving forward.
Yeah.
You know, and she didn't seem, no one said I couldn't say that, or that she couldn't say it on the man, I mean, to see a Blade movie designed by Ruth Carter, I was so excited for that.
Two-time Academy Award winner.
Two-time, I mean, she did Wakanda and Wakanda Forever. She'll probably win another. She's amazing. But I love Blade. And I really want to see Blade. And Mahershala Ali is such a great actor. Who doesn't want to see him play Blade? But like you said, it's been half a decade since they announced that, probably even more now. And it's like, I think they jumped the gun because they realized the implications of a Blade movie and the whole supernaturalness of it all would have been more difficult than they would have thought when they decided, I guess, not to do a period piece in the 1920s, how it worked with the rest of the MCU. Because look, Werewolf by Night touched on a lot of that same stuff, and that was great, and that was like a one-off, and we haven't heard anything since then, and they had Man-Thing in that.
Yeah.
So I think after Secret Wars, when they sort of rejigger everything and it kind of resets, maybe they can have an easier time of it. I don't know, but I'd love to see a Blade movie, but like you, perhaps they should just say yay or nay.
Well, because Jonathan looked this up for me. How old is Mahershala now? Because this is the funny thing. When they first announced Mahershala Ali as Blade, I said, couldn't
He's
be
51.
more. How old is he?
51.
I thought he said he's 71.
Oh.
He will be by the time this movie's made.
Man, he looks good. I remember at the time saying, okay, dude's 45 years old. But he's a two-time Academy Award winner. Awesome.
He's a handsome devil. Look at those glasses.
Oh, that's a handsome dude. But are we pushing how old he can be to start a brand new superhero character? Because, you know, Hugh Jackman, not everybody has to do 20 years like Hugh Jackman, but a lot of these guys go on to play these characters for 10, 15 years. And he's supposed to be a vampire that doesn't age. But, well, maybe Blade does. Anyway, I asked at the time, I said, I'm thrilled about his casting. He's going to be an awesome Blade. He's a two-time Academy Award winner and awesome. I said, but, you know, if I had one kind of apprehension, it would be that he was 45, 46. I think he was 45 at the time. He's 45. This might be a little bit old to start it, but whatever. It's near the cusp. It's near the cusp. It'll be fine. He's now 51. And it sounds like the earliest they're going to, like, at the earliest possible thing they could get him in front of a camera shooting. If they're lucky and all the stars align, he's going to be 52 or 53 when they start shooting this thing. He is literally going to be 7 or 8 years older than he was when they announced him to be in the movie. So I put this question to you, Rob. Putting aside the chances that we get Blade, where do you see the chances are that we actually get Mahershala Ali as Blade at this point?
I don't think they're that good.
Yeah, me either.
I mean, if you think about it, because even if they start shooting, that's another 2 years before we see the film. So you're looking at 53. And what if it's a big hit? Are they going to do another one? So he's going to be 55, 56. Blade is a physical role. But then again, Wesley Snipes still kicked ass.
Hey, listen, think what you want about the new Jurassic World movie. He looked pretty good in it.
He looked great.
He looked real good in it. I mean, if
good.
anybody can do it, it's going to be Mahershala Ali.
Yeah.
I just this thing's becoming a big embarrassment. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? The saga and the drama of Blade continues as Mia Goth is now saying, I'm one of the stars of the movie. I have no idea what's going on. I know about as much as you guys. Should they just pack it in at this point? Or do you think, no, man, just power through it. Get this thing made. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this. Well, one of the comic book superhero films coming out next year that I'm really excited about is the new Supergirl movie. Of course, we got Millie Alcock from House of the Dragon, who's awesome, and I loved her little bit part in Superman. I think she's going to be great in this. Jason Momoa playing the DC role he really always wanted to play, which is Lobo. He was perfect for that. Ultimate fan casting right there. I'm excited about it. And, the source material it's based on is great too. That doesn't necessarily mean it'll translate well, but excited about it. Well, it sounds like there are some early reactions coming out to the cut of the film that they have, and they're sounding really good. Some of them coming just from nameless, faceless Twitter accounts. But one of them coming from one of the more stalwart online movie scooper guys, Dano Richmond, who is often right, sometimes wrong. But I thought it was at least interesting enough to bring this up. The folks over at Geek Tyrant wrote the following. Studios rely heavily on test screenings to understand how a movie is shaping up. And although public screenings for Supergirl haven't happened yet, an early cut was reportedly shown to Warner Brothers executives at a few select viewers on the lot. As usually happens, those reactions have begun to drift online. A Twitter user said, I've heard from multiple people in SAG that Supergirl is amazing, which led Daniel Richtman, who is more attuned to this space, to chime in with, I have heard the same as well, that the movie is very good. Another user wrote it, I know someone who was at the test screening. He said it was very positive reception and foresees the movie being very well received. All right. Now, again, I don't think we even do a rumor story based on some random anonymous Twitter people. But the fact that Daniel Richmond decided to chime in on this too and say, actually, I've heard the same thing. I've heard this as well. I've heard that the movie's quite solid, that it's very well received, that the movie's very good. Now, these are just the opinions of a couple of people, so I don't want us to run ahead of ourselves. But in a world of good news or bad news, I mean, if some early stuff starts leaking out, I would rather hear that the people who are seeing it so far like it than hearing that the people who are seeing it so far are going, this ain't it. This is a disaster. Rob, I think you and I have both been kind of expecting Supergirl to be really good.
Yeah.
I mean, James Gunn talked a lot about the fact that the pitch put on his table and that he was just fell in love with the script. The filmmakers they got, he's been very excited about this film, and he's not directing it himself. But they got a really good director on board. They had a really good screenwriter on board. I think they've got a terrific cast working with it. It's good to hear this. Listen, I'm not going to lie. My expectations for Supergirl are high. Not necessarily for the box office, but for the quality of the movie to really get the DC moving. Now, look, you had a great start with Superman, but now you got to follow this up. I think this will be the film to do it. I like what I'm hearing from this, but I'm not going to put too much stock in this quite yet. But it is good to hear nonetheless. Anyway, what's your takeaway from what we're hearing, and where are your expectations for Supergirl like right now?
Well, I'm fascinated by this because it's really going to be the first new DCU under Safran and Gunn's tutelage or stewardship that isn't James Gunn. You know, we're not seeing Lanterns, so we're getting a movie that's not directed or written by James Gunn. It's based on a DC comic story, a specific DC comic story.
A really good one, by the way.
Really good one. And I think that more so than anything, so Superman was more of an announcement movie. Like, here's a new DCU. This is now going to tell us, I think, more about the DC universe. Like, what is this direction? What is the scope? This is a very cosmic story. We're meeting a character like Lobo, and who else? Who knows who else we're going to meet? I'm sure Superman has some role to play in this. So I think it's really going to be a beacon as to what direction we're going. So from that perspective, I'm really curious to see where it's going to go. On the other hand, I'm really curious to see this particular story realized on film. I think this is a great story. I think it has a lot of great potential. And I think that Millie, she is not necessarily the traditional person you might have expected to play this role. I think she's, like all of James Gunn's choices, a little bit quirky in a way.
Yeah.
And I think it was a great choice. And going that direction, because what we saw at the end of Superman sort of tease up her feelings in the comic, and it's going to be great to see it. I'm to be honest, John, I'm very excited about this movie.
Yeah, I'm getting more excited by the day, to be honest. Again, it could go terribly wrong. I'm not sitting here, by the way, but one of our users in the live chat, Jay Alexander, I think, is saying, I don't think Lobo and her will fight. You don't think they're going to have Lobo and Supergirl fight in this? Listen. I have not talked to James Gunn about this. I have not seen a script. I don't know anything, okay? I know nothing about this. I am willing to wager big money that you will absolutely see Lobo and Supergirl at least have one tussle. Like I have no doubt about that whatsoever.
You can't make a movie and not have them tussle if they're both in it.
Yeah, even if they end up on the same side,
sure,
a la Batman v Superman, they're going to fight.
Plus, it's going to be hilarious.
Oh, I agree.
It's going to be wildly entertaining, and I'm looking forward to it.
And I hope Crypto gets involved in the fight, too. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? There are some whispers starting to come out, but remember, keep these things in check and take them all with a grain of salt. But there are some whispers starting to come out that this Supergirl movie looks like it's shaping up really well. I'm excited for it. I think it's going to be great. Then again, I've had other movies I thought were going to be great that not turned out so great. I'm looking at you, Craven. Anyway, whatever you guys think about all this, jump down into the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys, listen, we got a number of other things we got to talk about, including, remember that Netflix director who took all that money from Netflix and never made a show but bought himself a Lamborghini instead? Well, his trial has begun. We're going to talk about that in a second. Also, brand new trailer for Ready or Not 2 came out, and it's awesome. I can't wait to talk about that. Also, under the category of completely Bush League classless, Quentin Tarantino decided for no reason whatsoever, just start taking shots at Paul Dano. We're going to talk about that and maybe what's behind that. And according to a report, we're going to take this one with a little bit of thing, but there's a report that at an event in Italy, Marvel revealed the 6 teams that we're going to be seeing working out with each other, against each other in the upcoming Avengers Doomsday. We're going to talk about that and a few things more. But before we do, we're going to take a quick second and thank one of the sponsors of today's episode of the John Campea Show, our friends at BetterHelp. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, BetterHelp. Hey guys, we are right now in the middle of the holiday season, and this is always the time of year when traditions take center stage. For me, one of the small traditions I've had for myself since I was a teenager is taking at least one night during the Christmas season to just spend completely by myself, to just reflect on the year that was and how I want to improve myself in the year that's coming. The holidays can be joyful, but they can also be stressful, overwhelming, even lonely. So if you're thinking about starting therapy or getting back into it, BetterHelp is a great way to begin. BetterHelp has fully licensed therapists who work under a strict code of conduct, and they do the matching work for you. The way it works is you fill out a short questionnaire. They use over 12 years of experience to match you with someone who fits your goals. And if it's not the right fit, you can switch anytime from their tailored recommendations. With over 30,000 therapists and more than 5 million people served, the platform's average live session rating is 4.9 out of 5 from more than 1.7 million reviews. So this December, start a brand new tradition by taking care of you. Our listeners get 10% off at betterhelp.com/Campea. That's betterhelp.com/Campea. And thank you to our friends at BetterHelp for sponsoring today's episode of the John Campea Show. Okay, guys, that down. let's move on to this. It was one of the craziest stories we had covered, whichever year it came out. I think it was a couple of years ago. Those of you don't remember this, as highlighted here in this article in Variety. Director Carl Rinch, who directed 47 Ronin, this whole thing went down where Netflix gave him a whole ass ton of money for a show I believe was going to be called White Horse. They gave him a whole bunch of money and nothing was coming. And he said, I need more money. So they gave him like $11 million more to do some more stuff. And he never gave him a show, but he bought a lot of stuff. Well, that guy is now, unsurprisingly, on trial. As is headlined here, Carl Rinch Netflix fraud trial begins. Was sci-fi director a swindler or just in over his head? I can read some of this at length because some of the details matter. Said the show White Horse, which was never completed, was pitched to the streamer as a high-concept thriller about the rise of humanoid OIs, organic intelligences, and the human fractions determined to destroy them. Described as a mix of Star Wars, Westworld, and The Matrix, the series was once touted by Netflix execs as their next big franchise. But those dreams faltered when the big-budget series began to face major production issues in the fall of 2019. Netflix tried to solve the problem by sending Rinch an additional $11 million. That was March 2nd of 2020, just before the pandemic disrupted nearly every production. Netflix never saw any additional footage or material for White Horse, and ultimately wrote off the investment. Over 5 years later, Rinch, now 48, is facing many years behind bars if convicted of wire fraud, money laundering, and making a series of illegal transactions. The 47 Ronin filmmaker is alleged to have used the $11 million for his own benefit by buying a $740,000 Ferrari, a $340,000 watch, and luxury mattress totaling $638,000 amongst other purchases. The article goes on to say he then funneled a bunch of the money into his own investment accounts so he can do investments and all this kind of nonsense. And he just spent all the money. They spent millions of dollars, never delivered a show. And I still remember when we talked about it, it was one of the craziest things. Because you remember the South Park's joke about Netflix, right? The phone rings. Netflix,
Yeah,
greenlit.
You're greenlit.
You didn't send out money. Go ahead and make whatever. Now this guy's face. Now his
Wait a minute.
lawyers.
Those luxury mattresses, I thought this was a total of... The luxury mattresses were $638 for
Dude,
four.
you need a good night's sleep. If you're going to be a director, you're standing a lot. You need some comfortable sleep, right?
I kind of don't want to know what it's filled with, the mattress.
It's filled with
Or
horse
what it
feed.
does to you when you sleep in it.
Yeah.
I mean, you're looking at what, $150,000 mattresses?
It better be a damn good sleep. It better be the best, most comfortable mattress you've ever had in his life. So, I mean, it was just nuts. And this speaks a lot to the state of Hollywood and everything. Now, it goes on in the article
Filled with $100
that
bills.
his lawyer is making the argument, no, he's not a con man. He just got in over his head. And again, I encourage you, the article's on Variety. Go and read up the full article for yourself to get all the details. I won't go into it at length here. But, I mean, this is... I hesitate to tell this story, but I will. I'm going to try to be as vague as possible. I had this instance once where I was a buddy of mine, a filmmaker, and in a moment of being half drunk, said filmmaker kind of admitted to me that the film that they were currently working on, he squandered the money that was meant for the production on the movie, and he spent it on his own stuff. And he was going to go somewhere to try to win back enough money to replace the money he had embezzled and stuff like that. And then, and I thought about that when this thing came out, when this story came out, I thought, how common is this? And like, what does Netflix do? Do they literally just cut a check to the director and say, yeah, go make this? And just, yeah, we'll just trust you. I mean, I don't know, but it's going to be really interesting. I don't see how he gets out of this. Now, granted, I'm not in the court. I'm not hearing all the details. Maybe the court could become sympathetic and said, oh, he tried. I don't know. I don't know how you say he tried with a $740,000 Ferrari and $600,000 worth of mattresses. But it's what still to this day, Rob, remains one of the weirdest stories I've heard. But I kind of feel like maybe this isn't as unusual as we think, and this is just one of the stories that have come to light. Anyway, Rob, you remember this story. The trial has now begun. They're saying it's going to be wrapped up in a couple of weeks. What do you think about this whole thing?
Well, I mean, when I was producing DVD special features, I was working for a studio, and you have to I had my production company, and they would cut my production company a check, and I had to sign a contract, and then we had a scope of work, and we said, here are our special features, and we have to deliver them, and we would have delivery days when these things were due. Now, I did have an accountant, and it was, I can't imagine a company, the biggest check I ever got was just a little bit over $1 million. But that was also because we're going to go in country to a foreign country that I'm paying people to go to for 14 months. So that money had to sustain us, and we had to deliver what we had to deliver for that money.
Plus, didn't you have to submit financial reports about where the money was being spent? Didn't you have to account for the money?
I had to submit a budget in the first place before, and that was what I got paid based on the budget that we agreed on. But yeah, and then of course I have to be accountable for that money. There's tax things. You have, when you were working in New Zealand, you have to show you got returns. You had to be meticulous about what you show. And with the production, I mean, I can't imagine getting written a 13, 11,000, however many millions of dollars he got. You got to have a production accountant. You can't just willy-nilly. And I can't even imagine spending $600,000 on mattresses, because someday what you want to be able to do is have your books be transparent. So if anyone from the studio asks, may we see where you're at, you open up the books so they want to work with you again. The one thing about working with investors, especially a studio, is you want them to pay you a next time. So I don't get this at all. I don't understand who wrote this guy, who at Netflix was writing $10 million, with $13 million. They gave him $11 million more. They just gave one dude. They didn't cut a check to the production and send it to a production accountant, or do a direct deposit into a production bank
Maybe there
account.
was, and he had a way to manipulate it.
I just don't know.
I don't know.
That's what I want to know. I want to get the transcript and find out, because I want to do this. I promise I'll embezzle far less money and deliver a product.
Somebody somewhere in some coffee shop, there's some wannabe screenwriter right now making a screenplay about this in the vein of Catch Me If You Can.
Well, it's got to be released on Netflix.
Yeah, and it's got to be on Netflix.
See, the sad part about this whole thing is, if you had an in with Netflix and you were getting to make a show with them, wouldn't you want to continue that relationship?
I don't know, man. If I could pocket $11 million, I'm pretty set for life.
I would much rather.
If I can sleep on that mattress just one night.
One night on that, it'll change your life, man.
That's all I need.
I don't know. There's no future in embezzling money from a company like Netflix, as this bears
And
out.
what do you think? Are you thinking nobody will ever figure this out? Yeah, $10 so I can buy a couple of Snickers bars. Maybe they'll never notice that missing from petty cash. But you're buying a $750,000 car. Do you think nobody is ever going to notice this?
I don't know. When you used to drive it yourself.
When you used to drive.
I mean, some people get away with it.
Colt.
Yeah. Alex Kurtzman and Les Moonves, people like that have certain predilections that they get money for, and they take care of their things. But I don't understand, man. You've got to be accountable. You cannot take money from studios and not spend it correctly. You will get caught.
Well,
you will get caught.
He did. Now we're going to keep our eyes on to see if he gets found guilty or not. Anyway, guys, question is for you. This is a weird story, man, but what are your thoughts about it? Whatever you think, jump down to the comments section below and leave your thoughts there. All right. With that down, guys, let's move on to this. A couple of years ago, this little horror film came out called Ready or Not, that everybody in the world was convinced Margot Robbie was starring in. Because a lot seriously thought it was Margot Robbie. They saw the trailers, but it's not. It was Samara Weaving, who in that movie just looks a lot like Margot Robbie. And it was this low budget, looked like a kind of a harmless little thing. And I went to go see it. Loved it.
It's a hoot.
It's a blast. I loved that movie. By the way, director then went on to make Abigail, which I also thought
fantastic.
Total blast. I love Abigail.
Which makes sense because there's overlapping cast.
Yes, especially now with this one.
Yeah.
Because then they announced that Ready or Not 2 was coming. Ready or Not 2, Here I Come, which I was really surprised by because the first Ready or Not didn't do great at the box office, but this is one of the situations where I'm very happy that they're making another one. And now the first trailer has dropped. As Variety is reporting, Ready or Not 2, Here I Come trailer. Samara Weaving and Catherine Newton, who I first got introduced to in one of my all-time favorite shows, Supernatural. And of course, she was one of the main stars in Abigail. And she was so good in that. Another deadly game of hide and seek with more crazy families. And guys, look at the cast. Frodo
Misbehaving, by
got
the way.
corrupted by the ring and has turned bad boy.
When he showed up, I was like, Frodo.
Yeah, how
No,
could you,
we don't
Frodo?
do that.
But I love Elijah Wood. Elijah Wood's in, of course, Samara Weaving, who's great. Kevin Durand, who I love him in everything. And of course, he was also in Abigail. Sarah Michelle Gellar is in this. Catherine Newton, of course. David Cronenberg. Nestor Carbone. Deflate Mouse.
Carbone-
For
But
those you might remember from
And
The
Lost.
Tick. I always remember him from The Tick. Anyway.
By the way, he was doing his same performance as his character from Shogun. He had the same
I forgot that
Spaniard
was from
sound.
Shogun too.
Yeah,
You're right.
and he's doing the same accent.
I mean, exciting for me, not for you. But I believe that is his real accent. I could be wrong about that. Anyway, great cast. And the trailer looked bonkers. And I'm like, because at first I'm like, how do you do a sequel to this? Love the new mythology they spread out. Well, you survived and you took out that family. Now you're going to have to play the game again, this time against the 5 head families. And the families are now competing against each other for who's going to get to kill you. So it's got a little bit of a taste of, what was that movie that came out right during the pandemic, where the people got hunted? They get
The Hunt.
The Hunt.
It was-
Yeah. So it's got a little bit of the Hunt in it. Obviously, Ready or Not. The expanded cast looks great. I think this trailer looks fantastic. I love that the director is back.
It's a co-director.
There are 2 directors. I'm so excited for this movie now. Again, I was shocked that they're making another one, but I'm so glad they are. This trailer looked great. Rob, you had a chance to see it. What did you think?
Tyler Gillett and Matt Bettinelli are the 2 directors.
Right.
First of all, I thought Ready or Not was a huge surprise. People said it was good, but I just didn't get a handle on what it was. I bought it. I have it on disc. I bought it, watched it, and I loved it. First of all, it's nasty and mean, and it was mean-spirited, which I loved. And I have to say, its climax, I was not expecting.
Neither was I.
And it was so good. Like, it was so good. And that opened up, call it a mythology, that I was not expecting. And when I saw this trailer, I watched it this morning, I'm like, I'm so in. Like, this idea that this mythology, I mean, it's weird to say that for like a little low budget slasher movie that there's a mythology, but it looks to me like they've opened up this mythology in a really big, really interesting way. And seeing that David Cronenberg is in it, who's one of my, all-time favorite directors, great Canadian kid, I'm sure he has something to do with this, whatever this wider mythology is, which I just want to see because I love David Cronenberg. It just looked delicious. I mean, I can't wait. This was right up my alley. And after seeing Abigail too, I mean, that was another movie that they just get it. The premise of Abigail was so much fun. The premise of this movie was so much fun.
Abigail was such a good, fun film.
It was.
Yeah.
And they really get it. And what I love about these guys is they didn't just like take the money and go make $100 million movie.
Or buy
mattresses.
$600,000 mattress.
Yeah.
But they're building their career in the most awesome way in within the genre space, and more power to those guys, man. And this cast they put together, the whole cast, how great! I loved seeing Elijah Wood like as the MC.
Yeah.
And
I'm
I
like,
love
what?
having Sarah Michelle Gellar in there.
and who looks like she's having a ball.
And by the way, like the whole thing too is about as the original movie Ready or Not starts to progress, they reveal this whole supernatural mythology, right? But that formula can go really bad. And that was highlighted.
Oh, I know what you're going to say.
You do, just a
Yeah.
few months ago. Remember that movie Him?
Oh, dude.
That kind of tried to be a Ready or Not, but a more serious kind of one, right? Okay, just so you don't misunderstand me. That movie is utter garbage. That movie was terrible. And anyway, and it tried to do the same thing. It tried to build the supernatural mythology behind this sort of thing, but they took a more serious tone, and it just went bad. Somehow, some way, when they did Ready or Not, they found a way to make it fun and far more interesting. And when it comes to the end and they reveal the supernatural angles and all that kind of stuff, you're like, yeah, that totally fits. Whereas when they did it in something like him, it's like, where the hell did that come from?
And they do look, this is not a gratuitous sequel. They've got, I mean, all sequels I guess could be gratuitous. They've got a really interesting premise, and even in the trailer there is a reveal that has to do with tomorrow, where I was like, oh, all right. I mean, this has you can tell it has a great script. At least I think it does. I can't wait.
Anyway, guys, question is for you. Did you have a chance to see the trailer for Ready or Not 2? Here I Come. We loved it. Maybe you didn't. Hey, it's all subjective. Maybe it just didn't work for you. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this. You know, you get any group of film fans around, and you start bringing up a conversation about our favorite directors today, at least once, twice, three times, maybe everybody. Quentin Tarantino's name is going to come up because he's awesome. I mean, he's got one movie in his entire repertoire that I didn't like. That was Death Proof. I didn't like Death Proof, I got to admit. But every other movie he's done. And
Kill Bill, The Whole Bloody Affair opens this week.
Is now coming out. And everything he's done from Jackie Brown to Django and everything in between, I particularly Inglourious Basterds and Django. I mean, I just love those movies. He's such a good filmmaker. And we're all excited to find out what is going to be his 10th film. What's going to be the next one he does. He's taking his time. We're all excited about it. But you know, Rob, in the last couple of years, it's not taking anything away from how big of a fan I am of his as a filmmaker, I feel like there's been a number of times in the last couple of years that he's resembling more and more the angry old man yelling at kids to stay off his grass.
I thought that was my job.
But never to the degree of classlessness that we just got from him in a report today. Quentin Tarantino is being interviewed, and in the context of being asked about his 20 favorite films of the 21st century, he decided for no reason, without being provoked, without being asked about it, to just go off and trash on one of the great actors we have today, Paul Dano. And again, listen, I think sometimes we are too hard on celebrities who maybe give a wrong answer when they're just kind of hit with a question out of nowhere. It's like you're standing on a carpet and all of a sudden somebody asks you something, you didn't have time to think it through. You just said whatever came to your mind. That wasn't this. The interviewer wasn't asking him, hey, Mr. Tarantino, what do you think of Paul Dano? No. Anyway, this comes to us from the USA Today. I want to really get into this because it's really kind of disappointing. Quentin Tarantino isn't shy about his disdain for Paul Dano, who I can only assume must have slept with his sister. Dano received ire when the legendary filmmaker sat down on the Bret Easton Ellis podcast to discuss his top 10 movies of the century. Tarantino picked Paul Thomas Anderson's There Will Be Blood as his fifth favorite film from 2000 on. By the way, good pick. And stressed that the film would have been higher if it wasn't for a big, giant flaw, Paul Dano. Dano, now 41, starred opposite Daniel Day-Lewis, the greatest actor of all time, giving the greatest performance ever in the history of film, by the way, in There Will Be Blood, who won an Oscar for his performance. Tarantino, now 62, said the two were not on equal footing. Who is on equal footing with Daniel Day-Lewis? Anyway, we're not on equal footing. Obviously, it's supposed to be a two-hander. That's what she said. Obviously, it's supposed to be a two-hander. And it's also so drastically obvious that it's not a two-hander, the director said. He is weak sauce, man. He's a weak sister. It goes on. Tarantino wasn't finished, later calling the Little Miss Sunshine actor uninteresting and saying Austin Butler would have been a better choice for the role. Ellis then attempted to push back on the criticism, noting the weight of Daniel Day-Lewis's role, but the filmmaker wasn't convinced. So you put him in with the weakest male actor in all of SAG. Ugh. Tarantino countered, I'm not saying he's giving a terrible performance.
It kind of sounds like that.
I'm saying he's giving a non-entity performance. And asked if he liked Dano in any other roles, Tarantino couldn't think of any. and listed other actors he's also not a fan of. I don't care for him. I don't care for Owen Wilson. I don't care for Matthew Lillard. Okay.
Matthew Lillard. What? The most harmless man, and he's so kind, and you're going after Matthew Lillard?
What did Matthew Lillard do?
Why are these people catching strays?
All right.
Wow.
First of all, let me get this part out of the way.
Wow.
It's look, whether you think an actor is good or not, listen, that falls under the subjective thing. It's totally fair if you don't think an actor is particularly good. There's nothing wrong with that. I personally am like, what the hell are you talking about? Paul Dano is an excellent actor. His performance, part of the reason Daniel Day-Lewis gave the greatest performance in the history of film was because he had such a powerful partner to work with. Paul Dano, look, I'm sorry, but I Drink Your Milkshake scene isn't as good if it wasn't for Paul Dano as well. Like, Paul Dano is great. And did you see Love and Mercy? My God, he's so good. And then, of course, like, everybody was just gobsmacked by him in Matt Reeves' The Batman as the Riddler. Nobody thought the Riddler was a great idea to do. And then he comes in and plays it, almost steals the movie entirely. Again, I'm not going to trash on Quentin Tarantino because he doesn't like Paul Dano as an actor. That's subjective. But forgive me if I think you're a little bit crazy. If you think Paul Dano is, quote unquote, the weakest actor in Hollywood. What? Okay, whatever. Subjective feelings. Let's put that aside. I find it really unfortunate when people decide to use a platform to, for no reason, just decide to take cheap shots at somebody. This interview was not about Paul Dano. The interview wasn't, hey, Quentin, list for me your 5 least favorite actors. It was supposed to be a conversation about your favorite films of the year. And to then just suddenly go off. And you know what? I have no issues if an interviewer put to Quentin Tarantino and said, who don't you like? And if he said, look, I'll be honest with you, I'm not a big fan of Paul Dano. Okay. I mean, maybe just say nothing, but if you wanted to, he wasn't being asked about Paul Dano. He just decided to say, oh yeah, I love There Will Be Blood. But you know who sucks? Paul Dano. He's weak sauce. He's a weak sister. He's the worst actor in SAG.
Yeah.
It's like,
come on.
Did this guy, like, seriously, I said it before, did he sleep with your sister and not call her back? Like, what? That was just plain personal. And even if there are personal issues between Paul Dano and Quentin Tarantino, you don't take this shit out on the air. You keep your dirty laundry in the hamper, man. Like, what was with this? And for anybody who's going to go, well, we don't want people to be honest. He wasn't even fucking being asked about Paul Dano.
He volunteered it.
He just decided, I'm going to take this opportunity to totally trash on somebody for no reason. Now, listen, none of this changes my love of Quentin Tarantino as a filmmaker. I am still excited about his next film. He is one of our all-time greats. But man, I got to tell you, Rob, as somebody who is such a fan of Quentin Tarantino, this wasn't some little accidental slip. He decided to make a platform out of just totally attacking a guy for no reason whatsoever. And I'm just going to say, again, it doesn't change my love for him as a filmmaker. Still excited to see him. The best word I can use right now, Rob, is I'm really disappointed. I'm really disappointed. This was a total Bush League cowardly. Let's see you say that in Paul Dano's face, Quentin. How about you do that? This was a Bush League cowardly, classless thing to do for no reason whatsoever. And again, it's not like it was gotcha journalism. It wasn't like he was suddenly asked, hey, tell us all the reasons you hate Paul Dano. No. Out of nowhere, he just decided to attack the guy. And I just got to say, dude, I am tremendously disappointed in Quentin Tarantino for this. This was way below him. This was totally classless. And again, I'm disappointed. Anyway, Rob, you read this interview and I kept going and going and going. I don't know. What did you think about it?
Well, I'm a huge fan of Quentin Tarantino's. I've only met him a couple of times, and once he came and saw a movie I made, and he was very kind and he was very encouraging. And so I have nothing but good things to say about him. That said, I think everything you said is absolutely true. You know, what does your mom tell you? If you can't say anything, if you can't say anything nice, don't say anything at all. I mean, I can understand he feels this way. He can feel this way, and maybe he's correct, and I understand that. But I really don't know why he took it upon himself to go after Paul Dano in such a way when Paul Dano has delivered what I think, like you talk, Love and Mercy, playing Brian Wilson. I mean, that was a great performance. He was great in that movie. And I would think that we're going to get a apology very soon.
Here, okay, I'm going to throw this out there. And this is piggybacking off of something one of our live viewers just said. I'm going to say this. I am going to stand up and do the slow clap if we, in the next 2 months, get some kind of announcement that Tarantino's picked his 10th film and it's going to star Paul Dano.
I thought
and
the same
all this
thing.
was a troll.
I thought the same thing. Like, this is just some weird...
If this is a troll, let me change gears for a second here. If this is a troll from Tarantino and we got get some announcement that him and Paul Dano are working together, I'm gonna call it one of the most genius, greatest trolls of all time.
Well, and I
if
could
it's
see
not,
that,
I'm just very
but I
disappointed.
could see that happening. I could see that happening.
It would be great if it is.
And maybe this is a setup for that because look at the press it's already generated. Look at what we're saying now.
Yeah, Dominic Suma in the live chat saying co-starring Owen Wilson,
Yes.
Matthew Lillard.
Yes.
That'd be a great cast. He better hope it is, because if not, Tarantino's gonna wake up to him looking like this next to him in bed.
Good morning. Again, I just don't get it. Like what? Like, and forget. Okay, take Paul Dano out of the equation. Why would you just unsolicitedly just take such like cheap shots at anybody like that out of nowhere? I just don't get it. Again, I'm very disappointed as a fan, because I am a fan, and it just really disappoints me that he would act this Bush League. And again, if this turns out to be a troll,
Man,
it's one of the greatest of all time. If it's not, I don't know. It's my opinion of him as a man is lowering. I'm sure he's not losing any sleep over.
I mean, it means he doesn't like Midnight in Paris or Wedding Crashers, and that bums me out too.
Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Tarantino just decided out of nowhere, like an RKO, just out of nowhere, just put Paul Dano, of all people, on total blast, calling him the least talented actor in Hollywood.
It also forces him to kind of respond. You know, people are going to have to, what do you think about that?
He won't. Paul Dano's going to take the high road. He won't respond to this. Anyway, guys, however you feel about this whole thing, jump down into the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys, we still got to get on to our main topic here today, talking about this whole Avengers and the cast and the teams and all that kind of stuff. But before we do have to take another moment here and thank another sponsor of the John Campea Show today, our friends at Aura. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of this video, Aura. Guys, if you are anything like me, you swear every year you're going to be on top of your Christmas shopping, and then suddenly it's December 20th, the shelves are empty, and you're standing around in Target asking yourself, does my aunt even like candles? But this year, I am not doing that because of Aura Frames. It's completely saved me. See, I always struggled with what to get people in my life, but this year I'm going to give out a couple of Aura Frames, and it's hands down the most personal, meaningful gift that I can possibly give. And here's the best part. Aura lets you upload unlimited photos and videos. Plus, the frame comes in a premium gift box with no price tag, so it feels like a classy, well thought out gift, even if you bought it last minute. Guys, you can't gift wrap togetherness, but you can frame it. So for a limited time, save on the perfect gift by visiting auraframes.com to get $35 off Aura's best-selling Carver matte frames named #1 by Wirecutter by using promo code CAMPEA at the checkout. That's auraframes.com, promo code Campea. This deal is exclusive to our listeners and frames sell out fast. So order yours now to get it in on time for the holidays. Support the show by mentioning that we sent you at checkout. Terms and conditions apply. And thank you to our friends at Aura for sponsoring today's episode of the John Campea Show. You know, somebody just mentioning in the live chat, one of the viewers, said, wouldn't it be awesome? When, not if, but when Paul Dano wins an Oscar, if he gets up there and just simply says, "Not bad for the worst actor in SAG."
Yeah.
That would be awesome if he did that. Anyway, with that down, guys, let's move on to this. Well, we've all got Avengers Doomsday on the brain, not just because it's the next Avengers movie, not just because of the huge announcement of the return of Robert Downey Jr. and all that kind of stuff, but we've got the first trailer coming in like 2 weeks. 2 weeks. We're less than 2 weeks. No, about 2 weeks. About 2 weeks from the first trailer dropping. Of course, going to be dropping with Avatar. By the way, I'll tell you off air, I just found out the other trailer that's dropping with Avatar.
Oh, I know.
Do you? Okay, well,
One other was reported.
Does it have to do with another big director
yes.
and a movie that?
Well, let's because I know there's no reports of this out there. I just
Okay.
got told this yesterday.
Oh.
I just read this, so then it wouldn't be this.
Anyway, but so we all got Avengers Doomsday on the brain, right now. But one of the big questions that's been out there, including from our own Robert Meyer Burnett, has been, who are the Avengers?
Yeah, who are they?
What's this going to be? All right, now, let me give some asterisks to this here. This is coming from an Italian conference where Marvel was doing a presentation. There might be some stuff being lost in translation. I was not in this room, so I can't account for the veracity of this, but it seems to be being confirmed by other people around. So in this presentation, apparently they kind of laid out that there are basically 6 teams in Avengers Doomsday. This comes to us from the folks over at the Direct. Walt Disney Studios highlighted a presentation at the 48th edition of the Professional Cinema Days in Sorrento, Italy.
I love Sorrento.
Oh,
beautiful.
showcasing a video that confirmed the teams that will be present in Avengers Doomsday. During the official cast announcement, a video unveiled the 6 teams, namely the Fantastic Four, the Wakandan Warriors, the Avengers, the Thunderbolts, aka New Avengers, the X-Men, and Doctor Doom. They put in there as kind of as a team. Then they go on to break them down, directed by the Russos. So then they put up some photos as well. The Russo brothers, Robert Downey Jr., talk about Doctor Doom. Now, Rob, you have speculated, and I agree. It's not going to be just Doctor Doom on his own. He's going to have some characters with him. Yeah, he's going to have a team in there, but they did not reveal who any of those would be in this presentation. So there was that one. The next one up is obviously we knew the Fantastic Four, and they put up this picture of them all in there. The Fantastic Four are going to be in there. That was obvious. We knew that. And it's the team as we expected. Now, one of the interesting things is then they've got the Wakandans, Winston Duke, Letitia Wright, Tenoch Huerta as Namor. And everybody don't forget, M'Baku, Winston Duke, is the king of Wakanda. A lot of people forget that from the end of Black Panther 2. He is now king of Wakanda. So it's going to be kind of interesting that you've got that group now coming in as well. This one was really interesting to me, and tell you why. The next group they mentioned is the Avengers.
Yeah.
Now, some of these have 1 or 2 pictures cut off. So Shang-Chi is in this image. You don't see it in this picture here. So Shang-Chi was in the image. Chris Hemsworth as Thor, Paul Rudd as Ant-Man, Anthony Mackie as Captain America, Daniel Ramirez as Falcon. But here's the interesting one of who they're listing with the Avengers. Tom Hiddleston.
Mm-hmm.
Loki is being listed with the Avengers. Now, again, I want to emphasize this a ton. I wasn't at this presentation. There might be some reason he's listed there, but for them, just on the surface, that Loki is listed with the Avengers is actually pretty damn cool.
I mean, he is God Loki now, so how's that going to work?
Well, he's always been a god, right? He's the god of mischief. Now he's the god of stories.
But I mean, God of the universe, he'll save every one of us.
Anyway, so he's now, so that's telling us that the fans are going to get what they've really been wanting. They've wanted to see that reunion again between Thor and Loki, and to see the 2 brothers again. That'll be great. So anyway, so that's the next team. Then they've obviously got the Thunderbolts in there. We don't have David Harbour, but again, he's off the picture. He's there. David Harbour is there. He's already been announced in the cast.
Also, a U.S. agent is probably.
Oh yeah,
off.
he's not. But we know he's in there because he was already announced in the cast. So they got Thunderbolts listed as well, and then they got the X-Men.
Hey,
Patrick Stewart. Obviously, we don't see Ian McKellen in the picture, but he was stretched off. Rebecca Romijn, I still want to call her Rebecca Romaine
Stamos.
Stamos. I still
know.
want. It's just.
Jerry O'Connell will get pissed if you do that.
But
Yeah.
it's reflex.
Sorry, guys.
It's reflex. Anyway, so we got Mystique, Channing Tatum as Gambit, James Marsden as Cyclops, Alan Cumming, who was the biggest surprise to me that he was coming back to play
Wild.
Nightcrawler again. So we've got the X-Men team in there as well. So there's the 6 teams. Again, I kind of gravitate back to that Loki listing with the Avengers. Like I find that fascinating. It's like, is this going to be one of those things where Marvel does this sometimes? At the end of, I believe, Iron Man 2, it's either at the end of Iron Man 2 or I think it's at the end of Iron Man 2, where he's like giving it up. He takes the arc. Remember, it ends with him in surgery and they take the arc reactor out and I'm not going to do that anymore. And then we get to Avengers Age of Ultron and he's just got it again. It's like, yeah, don't worry about it. Yeah, I got the arc reactor back. I wonder if this movie if Doomsday's just going to start with Thor eating a Danish in that little cafe that Jane took him to in the first Thor, where he said, another, right? And he's just in there injured, and Loki just comes walking and says, hello, brother. And they just right at the beginning of the movie. Or is this going to be something they build up to? Again, look, if you know the story of Secret Wars, at least the more modern one, you know Molecule Man is a very important central kind of the battery that powers everything of that story. And since we have no Molecule Man, we have speculated that they could maybe slide in another character kind of into that role. Some of the options have been Sentry, because he's all of a sudden the most powerful character now in the MCU. But one of the other characters that we thought could be that role, because he is now the god of stories, is maybe Loki plays that sort of role of Molecule Man. So does he then get taken by Doom at some point? I don't know. I just thought it was really interesting we're seeing that. But anyway, Rob, since you're the one who more than anybody else knows was saying, who are the Avengers? Like at least the one saying it out loud. We're getting a little bit of a picture painted here for this now. What's your main takeaway when you look down through all these lists, the 6 different teams, all that kind of stuff? What is standing out to you the most?
They're all going to get wrecked. No, in this movie, they're all going to get wrecked. I mean, you're going to have I think this movie's going to end on one heck of a cliffhanger. It's going to be really interesting to see because
by the way, quick, sorry, I forgot. The third option besides Sentry, Loki is Franklin Richards.
Right.
That's the other one we thought might be.
Yeah, and I think
replacement
those
for
are all
Molecule
going
Man.
to play
Yeah.
a part. I mean, look, I think this is really interesting. I'm more interested in where's Doctor Strange? Where's Wanda Maximoff? Is she really dead? Where's the Hulk? Where these are big players. I think that when this story starts, I think this is going to be a saga like we've never seen before. I think this is the first course.
Right.
Of what we're seeing. Obviously, it's Avengers Doomsday. It's not even Secret Wars. So it's intriguing to me where we're at, because we're still I would imagine these Avengers are still Sam Wilson's still trying to put the pieces together, because we've never really seen a definitive aftermath after Thanos snapped everybody back. Occasionally we've seen things. I mean, we've seen Falcon and we've seen Winter Soldier go off, and we've seen the aftermath of the snap there, but we've never seen the aftermath in terms of the Avengers proper. Do they have a headquarters? What's going on? What's their relationship like with the government, especially post Brave New World? How's that all working? So I think it's going to be really interesting. And I think, again, it's kind of like what I love about this is when I used to read comics when I was a kid, they would have little boxes on the cover of which superheroes were involved. If the Justice Society was teaming up with the Justice League, they didn't have all the Justice League and all the Justice Society. They only had certain members.
Right.
And I find this really intriguing. I'm if nothing else, getting some definitive answers. I like the characters they pick initially, because eventually they're going to need more people, because they're going to get their asses handed to them. So I'm there for it. And it's going to be really interesting to see how Doctor Doom, they have to introduce Doom. They have to explain who he is and what he's doing and why he's doing
Well,
it.
that's true of any villain in any movie.
Yeah, but this is a lot of characters. So I'm really excited. This makes me even more excited about this movie because, as I said, it's a lifestyle choice. I choose to be very excited. It makes me intrigued about what they're going to do. My level of excitement, the more we learn about this, I'm intrigued that there is a narrative here that's going to be very interesting to watch, if nothing else. I'm not thinking, no, this is going to suck. I think what they're doing is really, it's very interesting. It makes me very intrigued to see the film. I don't know, obviously, I don't know what they're going to do. I think Franklin Richards is the most powerful being of all, so he can create universes, so why not? But then Loki oversees them. So then how's that going to work? I think there's really interesting groundwork that's laid here, but I don't know definitively. I mean, I would say that Franklin Richards and Loki have parts to play that are intertwined somehow. I don't know how, but I want to see how. And I'm really excited to see this trailer. I'll tell you that.
And listen, I want to make sure we don't shortchange Sentry here. Because listen, they don't need to have him at the same OP levels that he is in the comics. But I do want to remind people that in the comics, one of everybody's favorite comic stories ever, World War Hulk, for very good reason. That is, if you've never read World War Hulk, read World War Hulk. It's so good. But in that story, ultimately, as Hulk is going through and taking out everybody, all the Avengers, all the X-Men, everything the planet can throw at him, the one thing that finally stops him is Sentry, where they basically fight to a draw. Right? That's the thing. The government's got to go and get Sentry to get involved, and Sentry gets involved, and they fight to a draw, and that's it. And then the way they kind of portrayed him in Thunderbolts, like, it's so dangerous that Bob has got to keep him kind of bottled up, right? Afraid of becoming, more than what they can handle. And so I still kind of feel like that's our wild card going into Doomsday, because you can't have a character like that and just have him sitting on the sideline.
I don't think he's going to sit on the sidelines. I think he's Team Doom.
No.
Yeah, dude. I think Sentry's going Doom. I think he's going Team Doom, and I think by the end of this movie, I think Doom is going to have Franklin Richards. It's going to have Sentry, and that's how he's going to create Battle World. And he's going to go in and he's going to have.
Who are the Avengers? Okay, I'm sorry. Wait a minute. You have a team of Doom, Franklin Richards, and Sentry. You don't have anything in the Marvel universe that can stand against that. Like, not even have a chance.
That's why. How do you think he's going to create?
Excuse me, Ant-Man.
Ant-Man can take out Kang.
How do you think he's going to create Battle World? He's going to collapse the universes, and it's going to be a cliffhanger. The likes.
I don't know. Bob's too
loyal
to Yelena. I think he's way too loyal to Yelena.
I don't know.
We'll find. But listen, you're talking about choosing. I still am. As much as I've talked about how Marvel is in probably the weakest state it's been in a long time and all this kind of stuff, the reason I am so optimistic, and I've said this before, but I want to restate it, about Avengers Doomsday is not just because I'm choosing to be, but rather because track record.
Yeah.
I've said this before, but let me say it again. The team of Kevin Feige and Joe and Anthony Russo, as a team, they have made not one, not two, not three, but 4 films together. This team. They've made 4. Which one of them was bad? I'll wait. Was Winter Soldier bad? Was Civil War bad? Was Infinity War bad? No. These are all in different discussions from different people in the conversations of the greatest comic book films of all time. All 4 of them. And since this group of people in charge of making films have made 4 films together, and every single one of them, not just the majority of them, every single one of them has been crushed and knocked out of the park, why would I doubt them right now? Doesn't mean that it can't be bad. It can be. But I mean, why would I doubt that they're going to be able to deliver the goods?
Also, I think that's a really good point. And if you look at those particular 4 films together, they all kind of work as one large meta story.
Yeah.
And I think that Doomsday and Secret Wars kind of slot right in, because you could say that, I'm sure after what Thanos did, the multiverse and all this stuff that was going on, that Doomsday and Secret Wars it's going to wind up being a 6-film mini saga within the larger MCU.
Well, I mean, you know what? We're just a couple of weeks away now from getting that first
I'm
trailer, man.
I'm excited, dude.
The most important trailer.
I'm excited.
Honestly, without hyperbole, the most important trailer in the history of cinema coming out in just a couple of weeks. Guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? I mean, maybe there's some being lost in translation, this report coming from direct, but I mean, they're breaking down. They got basically 6 teams going in there. Loki being listed amongst the Avengers. Where's your anticipation level right now? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. And guys, that'll do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show. Thank you so much for being here and making our little show part of your day. Big special thank you to all of you guys for taking time out to come make us feel welcome and being a part here. I want to remind everybody once again, 2 things. The next movie meetup is in the Los Angeles area at the AMC Burbank 16 on Tuesday, December the 9th at the 7:10 p.m. screening of Five Nights at Freddy's 2. But also, and more importantly, guys, we are today kicking off our Adopt a Family campaign. If you guys want to make a real, tangible difference in somebody's life, we've got the link right at the top of the description of this video for our Amazon wish list. These are all gifts that are going to be given to this family. Some small things, $10 gift cards, some big things like a tablet, whatever you guys can do to help out, please go down and do that. And so, for our technical producer, Jonathan Voico,
About to go get a mattress.
writer, director, producer, Robert Meyer-Renette.
Well, you know, John, I'm very excited no matter what happens.
My name's John Campea, guys. Thanks a lot for being here. And until next time, my friends, bye-bye.